Hey everybody, this is the Daily Rant. That's what it's kind of turning into. I mean, that's what happens when you get an engineer to just think out loud, off the cuff, right? Today I'm obviously not in my black v-neck. I'm in a bit of a rush, so I'm just wearing whatever it is I'm wearing. Usually it's a black v-neck. Today it's not. Today it's just engineer standard like plaid pattern. Us engineers just get issued these plaid shirts. You see, on freshman year, man, woman, child gets issued a plaid shirt, and we all just plaid it up. And you don't have to ever change. You just can wear this until you retire, to be honest, in this profession. It's nice work if you can get it. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about a subject of how prepared are college graduates to work as engineers, right? I'm talking about engineer students, okay? There are a lot of issues, a lot of problems. I don't blame the graduates. I blame the schools. The schools should have taught them better. The schools should have gotten out of the way when they need to get out of the way. The schools should have intervened when they should have intervened. A lot of things need improvement. If you've ever seen a feedback loop, right? In one side you've got your inputs to the system, right? It goes through a little bit of a process, gets processed, comes out, and then there's your output, right? And the output is supposed to give feedback. That feedback gets incorporated and then goes back into the process to change the process, right? So if your temperature is too high, right, you get a high temperature comes in, goes to the process. We're going to try to cool things down. Output then goes back into the input, right? And it says, okay, you've cooled it down too much, heat it up again. Or you haven't cooled it down enough, keep cooling it, right? There's no real feedback loop for colleges. The ABET accreditation board has members that go out to look at the school program, but it doesn't really evaluate the day-to-day operations. That's just like an audit once a year, and it's pretty easy for the faculty to just put on a nice face and BS their way through it, in my opinion. A lot of them just BS through it. I think if they didn't BS their way through it, we wouldn't have these problems, right? So I'm going to go through a few of the problems and where I think they come from, and then how I think I'm going to fix them. I'm also going to say what I really like about the new workforce that comes out, because there are nice things to say about the young people coming out of college these days. So let's just get right into it, okay? Young people are big issues with communication, right? It's not an obvious thing, how to communicate, how to use short sentences, how to be right to the point, how to say exactly what you mean in a way that is actionable by the other party, right? To have a purpose with your prose, to be to the point. That's not easy, but they don't even begin. They've been taught the opposite, right? They've been taught the opposite. In their English classes, they get taught to start out with a grand narrative, right? Let's say, take, for example, I just want a report on deaths in Baltimore last night, right? Okay, so they'll write it out starting out like, it was a cold and a foggy night in the streets off of Glendon, where the desperation and degradation of society had wrought and turned this to, all right, I don't care, get to it. All right, see as I want. All right. Two suspects shot, identified as young males between the ages of 18 and 24. Officer involved shooting. Officers are unharmed. Suspects at large. And then a picture of the suspects or something, or a rendering or surveillance clip, still picture, something like that. Like real fast. Bam, bam, bam. If you want examples of good, concise writing, look at local newspapers. Because their readers don't have time for BS. This isn't the New York Times. Don't look at the New York Times. Don't look at... If there's more than 4 paragraphs, that's too much, right? That's a narrative now. It's not a story, right? 4 is a number I made up. It could be some number. What I'm saying is it should be really short and to the point. Is it clear? Is it concise? Is it comprehensive? As in, does it cover everything it needs to cover? Do you have all the information in there? All right? Is it to the point, right? It's pretty much what I say. Does it have all the information in it? Boom, done, okay? So these emails should be really short. And I know that a lot of young college people will just complain and like, oh, our college professors just respond with a one-word response to our email. The college professors are doing that on purpose because they're tired of your long emails. Those are too long. Ask one question. You're only going to get one answer per email. Ask one question and put the question in the front, right? Don't give me a narrative about what's going on in the factory and how we need to change our process. Just say, we have an issue in the factory. We need to change our process. And then you explain your reasoning after that. Bottom line up front, BLUF. It's really, really good technique. It actually gets my emails read because people know exactly what I want from day one, right? From minute one. And it respects the person's time. They don't want to spend a lot of time parsing through your stuff, okay? Next problem, right? Socially awkward, right? This is more of a lifetime thing, but a lot of young people have trouble meeting people. There's a reason why there's all these dating apps. It's not like, I mean, this is pre-COVID too, right? So there's all these dating apps, all these hookup apps and stuff. You could meet people before the exact same way people have been meeting each other for years and decades and centuries, which is to walk up to a stranger and say hello, right? But that's too tough, I think, for a lot of them. And they get an app, and then they wonder why they have such unfulfilling personal lives. I mean, you're not going to get fulfillment from an app, right? From an algorithm that matches you with people. It's just not gonna work out. It's also not mentally healthy. You're going to find that people like you a lot better if you're up front in person. Also, if you're real with yourself and you have self-awareness, you will improve your behavior, improve your mannerisms, change the way you speak, change the way you present yourself. I wouldn't wear plaid if I want to go meet new people. I have my really nice suits. You'll see them in the class I'm about to release as soon as I'm done editing it. I really underestimated video editing time. Holy smokes. I need an entire weekend. I got to change the way I shoot videos. All right. Entitled and dependent on authority. Those two, I wrote them as separate points. Those are actually the same point. Young people want direction, right? They want direction. I don't want to give you direction. I hired you so you do the job and make things better, right? I don't want to spend all my time directing you. That's more work for me. I might as well just get rid of you and just do it myself, right? So I think that feedback is a good thing to ask for, but direction, I'm going to give you a mission. Your mission is, I pay you, you make the place better, make your skill set work for it, right? Some jobs are more well-defined than others. A lot of jobs aren't that well-defined. All the employer might know is, I'm underwater, we need help, let's go. I'm working until 9 p.m. and starting work at 6 a.m. every day. I can't do this anymore. We need help. If you see a disorganized file cabinet, go organize it. If you see a system that's antiquated, go research replacements for that system. If you have some expertise that other people should know, create a lunch and learn training program just all on your own. Just do stuff. Don't wait for authority to tell you what to do. There's no grand plan. We're making this up, okay? And we're hiring you to take a leadership position and lead yourself in the job, right? The first person that you lead in your job is yourself. If you can't lead yourself, then you're not. I mean, you're obviously, if you're paid to think, you need to be able to lead yourself, okay? The fragility factor is high. This is true for my generation as well. I'm not trying to dunk on people who are new college graduates now. When I graduated college like 10 years ago, I'm getting old, mate. I'm getting old. I could routinely make people cry. I don't know why, and I'll just tell them what went wrong. My delivery probably was more deadpan than it should have been. I'm not a compliment sandwich kind of guy. I don't say, oh, you did a great job, and this could really use a bit of improvement, but you're just such a special person. I could never do that because it wasn't real. It wasn't genuine. I'm not going to disrespect you and say stuff that isn't, genuine. So the fragility, and it just takes too much time. It just takes so much time. We don't have time. You get in a certain pattern, by the way. All of these things are time consumers. The communication, the being socially awkward, right? You should be able to make friends at work. Being able to make friends is really important, okay? Wanting to defer to authority for direction, right? That's a big time waster. And being fragile makes it so it's difficult for me to give you feedback. All these things are massive time wasters. Well, guess what we're paying you for, right? It's your time. We're paying you for your time to improve things here so I don't have to use as much of my time, okay? This is worth circling back, actually, the socially awkward part. There's a big issue with inclusivity, or so we think. It's not an issue with inclusivity. It's an issue with people having a real tough time just not being assigned friends, right? Assigned friends. Like, I'm in the same class as you, so we're just going to hang out now. It's like, I don't have to want to hang out with you. I've got my own family. I've got my own, stuff to do. I've got my nephews, nieces. I've got this YouTube channel, or I just want to stay home and just hang out. I don't necessarily want to be your friend. At work, I will be your friend during work hours. Okay, I got my own life outside of that. All of these things can be fixed by just really, really having a high level of self-awareness of how you interact with other people, right? How much time are you using with somebody else's, right? How much of an adjustment are you forcing other people to make for your sake, right? Yeah, that's just it. Like, how much are you forcing people to bend, and how much time are you taking from people? Because if you're a time thief, nobody likes a time thief. Also, in terms of fragility, nobody wants someone who's going to cry on the job. It's the worst. I mean, yeah, I get it. You're sad. Those feelings are real. I'm not discounting your feelings. Those feelings that you have are very real, and they're very upsetting. But if I think that the font you chose for the footnotes on the document are just way too small, and I can't read them, and definitely the old timers can't read them, right? I'm giving you that kind of feedback, and I give it to you in just exactly that manner. It's not because I'm trying to be a jerk. It's just because I've got a lot of stuff on my plate. I mean, no disrespect for you. If you get really upset by that, I'm really sorry. But I mean, at some point, the job's got to get done. The job's got to get done. If I could be super nice while being super quick, if someone will make this so I can just give positive feedback and we'll just pour it into like a chocolate mold, so it says, it just says your font sucks, but it's in like Toblerone, in the form of Toblerones. First off, that would really reward bad behavior, and I would be screwing up all kinds of things so I can get more candy. But it's just a little much, right? It's a little much. You work to work. You don't work necessarily to make friends, as you sort of make your friends along the way. It's a lot to ask of somebody. Have some rigidity, take a lot of failure. I feel like a lot of young people don't fail enough. You should fail more. I encourage failure. I encourage fail early, fail often, and then you'll win big later. You're going to learn a lot more from failure than you do from success. Success is the carrot, right, as they say. It's the positive thing that you get. Failure is the stick that you get beaten with. And unfortunately, our dumb monkey brains respond to fear a lot better than they do pleasure. So take that, right? Fail a lot and you'll learn a lot. You'll be much better for it, trust me. And you'll also realize that none of this stuff matters. Even at your job, if you do a bad job, it's not the biggest deal. If there's people there that like you, one of them will move on to a new job, and then you'll say, hey, can I come too? And they might just say, yeah, sure, I'll put a good word in for you. Then, boom, everything you've done wiped off. Just it's like a baptism every time you get a new job. I mean, there are such things as burned bridges, and some stuff does follow you. It is what it is, but most of the time it's a pretty good, clean break, and you get another chance, right? Now, here's the good things. Here's the good things I think about the young workforce. They're pretty humble in terms of like usual mannerisms. I mean, they're not fragile out of a sake of a lot of pride, I think. They're just fragile because they've never been out on the limb themselves, and they feel really uncomfortable, especially with the amount of responsibility and the adulting, I hate that word, adulting that they have to do now. There's a lot of stress. They should have been exposed to this stuff a lot earlier. But I find them to be very humble and kind and very caring. So in the engineering world, we don't really do a lot of that. We're kind of jerks. We're like notoriously jerks. Oh, man. I used to be way bigger of a jerk until I kind of, I don't know, just empathized. I just stopped. I was like, one day, I was like, I don't want to be that guy anymore, and it's not worth it. I get nothing out of being a jerk. They get nothing out of it. No profit gets made. I save a few minutes of my day, but honestly, I mean, I was going to waste those minutes anyway. Let's be real. I can take a minute or two to not be a jerk. I'm not going to sugarcoat a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to be a jerk either. Instead of saying, hey, Luann, this isn't any good. You need to change this font up completely. All these serifs and everything, it doesn't come through very well. A lot of our guys really have terrible eyesight. And don't get me started on the colored pictures. A lot of our staff is also colorblind. For some reason, by the way, a lot of scientists and engineers are colorblind. I've learned this. And maybe it's just a general person thing, right? But always make sure to be ready for colorblindness in your documents, anything that you make. All right. I could say it like that. I could say that to Luann, or say, hey, Luann, I don't want to do like a compliment sandwich there, but hey, Luann, I just took some time and read over what you got. I think it's solid. Only feedback I'd give is that the font could be a little bit bigger, and I've learned this the hard way. You got to avoid serifs because these old timers, with their eyes have a lot of troubles reading it. You know, I have really good luck with Calibri or Arial, right? Go ahead and submit another one. Do you think you have some time to do that before the end of the day? Oh, great. All right, it's awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Luann. Keep it up. Also, another just random thought. This is thinking out loud after all. Thank people when they do their job. Don't be an a-hole. Don't say like, oh, I'm not thanking you. You just did your job. Okay, first off, from the manager's perspective, giving someone a thank you in terms of morale is about as good as giving them a bonus sometimes, especially if it's a big public thank you. Second off, from the manager's perspective, it takes no money to thank somebody. It might literally just be like, hey, everybody gather around. Hey, Luann she submitted her first report. I like to celebrate the little victories in life. This one was a good victory. She's well on her way to being a staff engineer here. We look forward to many years of working with Luann. Everybody give her a hand. Everybody claps. Everybody's happy too because they're like, oh wow, when I do something, I'll also get accolades. Give her a bar of chocolate. I don't know why I'm in a Toblerone mood today, but I'll give her a Toblerone. It's the cheapest thing in the world. It's way cheaper than if Luann all of a sudden finds another job and then she's and you're trying to buy her back, because that's what happens. Luann will say, hey, I'm leaving to go to, Incentacom or something like that. And you're like, no, I can't lose Luann. Come on, $5,000. You start just basically throwing money at them until their pockets are so heavy they can't leave, right? It's thank people for doing what they do. And also they're going to do a lot more of it. Reward good behavior. We're all dogs. We're all dog-like. We're all animals. When we get rewarded for good behavior, we do more of it. Okay? Now, if she does her darndest on this report, and then all you give her is crap, you've just penalized her for doing her job. That's the worst thing you could do. So you got to get out of that mindset. All right? I like some of the stuff coming out of young people. I don't blame the young people at all. I'm not one of those old guys. The schools have really failed them, from like kindergarten all the way up to graduate, postgraduate. It's a tough one. It's really saying something when a PhD doesn't get you any extra money, right? It's really saying something when a graduate degree is worth on the job listing. It's like 5 years experience with an undergrad or 3 years experience with a graduate. I was like, so that 2 years in graduate school is really only worth 2 years of work experience equivalent? You weren't even getting paid for that graduate school. You might as well just went to work and got paid for the 2 years, and probably worked your way up to a promotion by that time. But usually 2-3 years in, you've already got a promotion. So it's not even an entry-level job anymore. It's not a contest, right? Just get your bachelor's. It wouldn't surprise me if in the next 10 years, the bachelor's becomes the new master's, where it's just not necessary. And the amount of time you spend working will advance your career more and will give you the experience to just bypass the degree altogether, right? We overteach in this country a lot. But that's my criticism for the day. Hopefully that helps some people. I know, at least me, I had like 3 or 4 of those 5 things that were wrong, and I had to condition myself out of them for sure. So hopefully you recognize some in yourself. If you recognize some in other people, you need to be helpful and work with them to get out of it. If they want to, be people's friend. Being people's friend is free most of the time. And help each other, okay? Because we're all in this together. We're all going to help each other out. We're all going to be a lot richer for it, okay? This has been Alex, and this has been Thinking Out Loud. This is the Alex Manassa, and stick around. I'll have more classes and more Thinking Out Loud sessions as we go, so you can get the perspective of an engineer. All right, have a good one. Bye.